You have found the Redhead Family Therapy Guy and a Mic podcast, looking at mental health through a pop culture lens.
So I've been noticing, or I've been talking, or I've been thinking a lot more about how integral emotional regulation is to
Sure.
all challenges and problems, right? That like anytime people are under duress or in distress or coping in a really horrible, unhealthy way, it's because they've become emotionally escalated or deregulated or flooded. So the idea is that people get out of their frontal lobe, right? The place that keeps them, I mean, all the good things that we endeavor to be and do come from, our brain functioning well, or the executive function of our brain going well, right? Being considerate, being wise, being thoughtful, empathetic, being able to understand, being able to be gracious, or, in parenting, being able to be deliberate versus reactive. So all of the good emotional responses come not from being logical and dispassionate. I'm not at all encouraging that, but being in touch with being thoughtful, right? Kind of the idea of acting versus being acted upon, acting versus being reactive. And then the antithesis of that being naturalistic, being catastrophizing, overreacting, anger,
So
terror.
like regaining your agency, right? Being able to make decisions and act in a way that you desire to, and not feel pulled from that
Or out of control.
Exactly, because of a situation, really our response to a situation. So being able to take that agency back and act in a way that you desire to act instead of be in pain.
Right. So I've noticed this just, more and more, and seeing that theme in couple conflicts, seeing that in people ending up in acting out in an addictive cycle.
Sure.
Any of that kind of stuff. And so I was actually so I got really, so this really crystallized, because, we as therapists always encourage people to meditate.
Yes.
You just need to meditate.
Yes.
Do some breathing. And I said that all the time and encouraged that. And I had done a little bit of it and encouraged and done some of that with clients. It's kind of like this, it's a really safe kind of go-to. And I have to be honest, dude, I feel like a real charlatan by being like, just gotta breathe through that. Just gotta
do some breathing.
Do some breathing. And you are going to just be okay.
Be mindful.
I mean, just, So, but I was at this training. I was participating in this training. He talked about how the meditation wasn't about relaxation per se.
Sure.
But it was really about learning to manage attention.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, right. Because, of course, everybody's emotional reactivity is being triggered by trauma, triggered by, difficult events. And you get preoccupied with that trigger or trauma response, and then you get lost. You get lost, particularly with anxiety, or you'll shut down and feel overwhelmed, or that will lead to the acting out in the addiction cycle or whatever. And so he was talking about managing attention, and that breathing was really about cultivating the mental capacity to maintain attention. And I was like, wait a second. I was like blown away. Because we just think relaxation.
Sure.
And it's like, no, like the relaxation is a byproduct of the cultivation of attention. And it just blew my mind, right?
Sure.
So that was one. And then the other was very popular book right now, James Nestor, Breathe. Is it like The Lost Art of a New Science, or The New Science of a Lost Art?
The yellow one.
The yellow one. And that really, I've listened to that book twice, and I've listened to him a bunch, and it really blew my mind. And that's really where I was like, wow, like there's something really to breathing. I mean, there is it's like, it's like the water revolution that's happened in the last, 2 decades or whatever, everybody carrying around water bottles. And, we need water, and that's really good to, help all the processes of the body. And it's like, it turns out that breathing correctly has a real effect.
Breathing's important. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And so,
there is power
oh my gosh, dude,
in breathing. I felt it in my life. It's amazing. And doing breathing where you're really bringing yourself to the now, like to the being in the present moment.
I'm breathing right now, though, Michael.
There's a difference, right, between what you and I are doing right now, right?
Moment, not even think. I can probably get maybe 30% of my clients to really take it seriously.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, that 100% of the clients that take it seriously are like, yeah, I was really surprised how much of a difference that makes.
Yes.
Like, it's revolutionary.
And there's different breathing too.
It's a whole thing, dude. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, and there's lots of different things that you can do. And maybe it's harder for you to get into one form of breathing and you try another. But I'll tell you this, so on my Apple Watch, there's a breathe app.
How does
on the Apple Watch.
How does it have you do?
Yes, exactly.
It's like Darth Vader. Right?
Love this app because it I can set how many times I want it to remind me. But what I like
it reminds you to.
Yeah, it dings me and it's like, hey, you can breathe. But then you hit it and you can. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes I forget. Like you think it's pretty natural.
No, they call it. There is this thing that I like. It's called like computer apnea. Like I've noticed when I got serious about the breathing stuff, I became excessively conscious of my autonomic.
And you started noticing.
And I started noticing I was holding my breath all the time talking to clients. Yep. I was holding my breath functioning.
Well, and holding your breath, what type of response is that, right? So I wonder is I don't know, but is that your central nervous system engaging? Is that a fight or flight response to stress or to something, right?
Could be.
And so is your body trying to regulate emotion and not knowing really how to do it appropriately? So then you have a lack of breath, right? You have a lack of oxygen to the brain, which if you think about it, a lack of oxygen to the brain is going to signal to your brain more danger.
Right, more stress. Right.
So it's really interesting. So back to my watch, please.
Your Apple
Yes, my watch. Apple Watch. So it will remind you. It just dings you. But when you do the breathing app, it actually... It has a flower type thing that grows as you're supposed to breathe in, and like then diminishes as, or it kind of taps you to kind of tell you, but you can set it so that you can do longer breaths or shorter breaths, and I love it. I do long breaths, and when I do the long breaths, and I do 2 minutes at a time, that's it. It is so it works wonders for me. Yeah. What I typically do is I do a deep breath in, and then I like to hold. And I do like a 3-4 second pause, and then I exhale and pause again. That for me works wonders.
My typical is I've worked up to, I like to do 9 in beats, 10. So 9 beats in, 10 beats out.
Do you do a pause, or are you just in and out?
I mean, you can do so many different things. But when I'm just doing my thing, and just trying to be grounded, or get my 10 minutes in or whatever. I don't pause, but I do a bunch of the different stuff. I do the in one nostril one. I do a bunch of